Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Quick video on Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, Coinbase, and the miners. Promise I'll try to keep it as short as I can. I started doing videos around February of 2024, really when things just kind of went up a lot. And I've been doing video really since then. I've done it really over the last like 7 or 8 months nonstop, almost a few times a week. And yeah, my views has really been exactly kind of like what Bitcoin chart has been doing. It's just been going sideways and going nowhere. But that's okay. Sometimes you just gotta keep doing it because you don't know where it's gonna take you. You just keep doing it. You have thoughts you want to share. If you see any price action and things like that, just keep doing it and see how it goes. Just like if you believe in Bitcoin, you believe that all of this is just a consolidation sideways, and you keep being in Bitcoin, right? I do think that there is a lot of indication to tell me that I think we're above support more than underneath resistance at this point. Just looking at the weekly chart. I'm going to pull up a few things here with the Ichimoku, with the Boomerang support band, also the Super Ichi. The entire thing just looks really, really busy, and I generally don't do this because I generally like to keep my charts clean. But you can just see over the last like 7 or 8 months or so, you can see what's been happening. Things went parabolic, and then it had to take a break. And as it was taking a break, it was just basically breaking little levels here and there, back testing little levels here and there, and it was breaking down all these levels here one at a time. It was breaking down. It took about a few months for price to plummet all the way around 48 to 49,000 for that liquidity grab event right there, and it took that long to really get there, right? And then it also took another month for it to finally backtest the weekly Ichimoku cloud. And after that, you found a lot of liquidity grab over here, and we were able to bounce back above here, above all these, kind of moving averages, period moving averages, and in the Super Ichi cloud here, right? Right now, we kind of push through it, and we're doing a back test in this whole confluence of support here that was a little bit more separated over here and was breaking down one at a time. Right now, we're testing all of this together. And I think this support is going to hold. I just think that this support is going to hold, and I think that this is going to end up pushing price up higher. Now, what is the lowest I can potentially see? I mean, I can see that maybe the bottom of the Super Ichi cloud here around 59,000. If it breaks through that for this week, it could be around 57,000. If it breaks through that next week, it could be around 58,000. If it breaks to, down below here the week after that, it'd be around 59,600. But regardless, I think that because of a confluence of support here that is backtesting, there's a there's a thought that if all of this was just a wick, then you're talking about a tweezer bottom backtesting a lot of these confluence support zone over here, and that would be extremely bullish. Right now is obviously not looking that bullish because we've kind of cut through a lot of these kind of support zone over here that was backtested back in September. But right now, equity is also flying. So I really do think that this is like one last step. Grab liquidity, make sure that all your degens are no longer doing any leverage long positions. Grab your shares, grab your Bitcoin, grab your money before going up higher. How long is this going to last? I don't know. I just think that it wants to keep going higher, but I do not know when. Right? That's kind of what I'm seeing here with Bitcoin now. With the whole idea looking at Bitcoin, you can also look at MicroStrategy and see how it's doing. So MicroStrategy is basically a leverage play of Bitcoin, and MicroStrategy more or less had this breakout. You can say, yeah, so far this week hasn't closed yet, and we haven't really have any confirmation that we have a higher weekly close compared to all these candles over here, right? But so far, that really does look like you have some pretty decent breakout over here with this candle that we've had. And it's just overall just been making higher high, over here compared to over here. So there's a lot of, momentum pushing up forward for MicroStrategy that I can't really say the same about Bitcoin right now, as well as a lot of other Bitcoin proxies. MicroStrategy is really a market leader, and this kind of outperforms of MicroStrategy over Bitcoin. This is the MicroStrategy over Bitcoin chart that has really broken out. Like MicroStrategy is really seriously outperformed Bitcoin, and you have these kind of behavior happening with MicroStrategy over Bitcoin chart here, forming higher highs and higher lows and higher highs again, really during like a beginning to mid area of the bull market. Like it doesn't just end up doing this parabolic move up on like a bear market that's about to come, because during the last cycle, whenever Bitcoin was making a higher high around November of 2021, MicroStrategy was severely outperforming Bitcoin at that point, right? So that's what we mean by like late cycle, and this is still a little bit early cycle when MicroStrategy was really doing very, very fabulous against Bitcoin. And I think the trend's probably going to end up continuing for a short term. And then until Bitcoin, until IWM, which is the Russell 2000 small caps, until those break out, I think MicroStrategy is probably going to end up continue to go up. And I just cannot really be that bearish on MicroStrategy anymore at this point. And therefore I cannot really be that bearish on Bitcoin. I was showing this chart, I was showing this MicroStrategy chart a few times here. This is again chart that I drew. You can see how it flipped the arc here from resistance to support. These things are generally bullish. Price to gravity up towards around like the 300, 330, 340, somewhere around there. If I put up the Ichimoku cloud, you can also see that the Tenkan Nikkei, which is the blue and red line over here, was resistance here at the top of this cycle. But now we've flipped that from resistance over here to support, right? There's a lot of confluences telling me that I think things are probably going to go up higher, either to the horizontal line over here around 340 or to this arc up here, depending on where it hits. It could be either around like 500 or 600, somewhere around here, right? That's kind of what I'm seeing in MicroStrategy, and I think that's probably going to be the top MicroStrategy, and that we'll kind of take it from there. Now, there are a lot of other Bitcoin proxy stocks that a lot of people are, very, very disappointed about. And it is true, none of the Bitcoin miners have had any kind of breakout at all. I'm even just going to turn off the GAN here, turn off the Ichimoku cloud here. None of the miners have broken out like MicroStrategy. Even Coinbase has severely underperformed. Like CleanSpark severely underperformed. Mara, Bitfarms. Sorry, that was CleanSpark. Bitfarms, Cypher underperforming. Iron underperforming, although initially had a little bit of outperformance here during this period of time. Wolf, still underperforming, no breakout. BTBT. Cores is, I'm going to talk a little bit about Cores later on. I'm a little bit worried about that chart. Riot obviously has been absolutely plummeting. HUT has been underperforming. I can keep going on and on. But a lot of these kind of Bitcoin proxy, including a lot of Bitcoin miners, have seriously underperformed, right? And a lot of people say that, yeah, there's a lot of dilution. Well, during a bull market when things just kind of went up, they were also diluting too. So I don't know whether or not we're necessarily by that argument. But looking at Coinbase, I think that Coinbase actually looks quite solid to me. The reason why is if you just look at Ichimoku, it's reclaimed the weekly Ichimoku cloud over here. And if you also look at the Fibonacci level, it has really been reclaiming the 0.618 here, which is generally a very good indication that it probably wants to, if we continue to really hold this as support, it probably wants to go back to the 0.786 here to challenge that. And if you break the 0.786, all hell would break loose and you would really go up to like the 400, 500, maybe even potentially like 800, a lot higher from here moving forward. We got rejected over here at the 0.786 because price has spent almost like half a year at the exact zone over here. So it was very strong resistance. There's a pretty big volume shelf over here, which I'm not going to I guess I can put up here. There's a big volume shelf over here that we just couldn't really get over, right? And that's the reason why we ended up having resistance. But right now, I think we're finding some pretty critical support over here for Coinbase. And I think we're probably going to end up bouncing up from here, push through the 0.786, whenever that would be, and go a lot higher. I know it's kind of silly to kind of talk about this, but that's really truly kind of what I'm seeing here with Coinbase. I also want to add a very important point too, is if you just kind of zoom out into the monthly chart, you can see that the uptrend was followed by a downtrend with decreasing volume pretty much across all of the Bitcoin miners and across Coinbase here too with this downtrend, right? Something that I was also seeing a very, very similar pattern from was Affirm. You can see how Affirm was going up on very, very strong volume, but it was plummeting down on really declining volume to the point that there was like absolutely no volume here at all. I mean, sure, it kind of went down, wicked down here a little bit further, but like I was really buying more down here because I was just saying, look, this down move here is unsustainable. I don't know when it's going to end up going up. I'm just going to keep buying down. If you're going to be buy down at like the low 30s and high 20s, you want me to buy down here at low 20s, I'll do it because the volume is low. And that's really kind of happening across like Coinbase with low volume, CleanSpark with declining volume with this downtrend, Mara really over the last 8 months, sideways and down, low volume, right? Bitfarms, same thing, last three months, declining volume. Cypher, you can't really say that because it doesn't really have that downtrend, but up the green candles have increased volume, red candles have declining volume. It's very interesting to look at, right? Iron, as it comes down, declining volume, right? Wolf, it just hasn't really gone down that much. Like it's just kind of gone sideways, but a little bit on declining volume, right? BTBT, declining volume on the most recent move. Cores, don't even mention that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But even Riot has been going down for like a whole year on declining volume. And HUD8, same thing. Downtrend, declining volume. Up, increased volume. Down, declining volume, right? So to me, I think the up volume is the real move and the down volume is like a corrective move. So I think that we still have a lot of juice to kind of move forward here. Just kind of like what we had with Affirm. All it takes just a little bit of volume to kind of kick in. You can have a bullish engulfing candle that can engulf multiple of these bearish candles here in no time. And I mean in no time. And a lot of people kind of forget about that. I'm going to talk just briefly about each of these individual stocks, in terms of why I think that we really most likely have bottomed out in a lot of these different miners here. With CleanSpark, you can see that it's finding support here at 0.5 level, finding support here at the 45-degree angle. All of these are very important levels, right? You also have found support here at the 100-week moving average, where it was previously resistance here, and you flip that into support, right? So good things should happen whenever you flip a resistance level into support. And it looks like that level wants to hold, and that's one thing as to why I think that CleanSpark most likely have bottom. And wherever you end up buying down here, most likely is, lower risk. I mean, obviously you can all go all the way down here to like the 6 and 7s down here to this arc over here. Anything is possible, right? Even if it goes down here, as long as it doesn't hit this level around here, it could still potentially be a higher low. But right now, this is definitely still a higher low compared to that. So this is still a bull trend, no matter how brutal it has been over the last, 7 or 8 months. But it's still a relative bull trend, right? Again, down volume on declining in price, right? Something that's very important to look at. Mara, same thing. Mara is kind of hanging out in space here, is trying to push through up here. But the reality for Mara, let me just kind of, pull up the fib levels here from that top over here to the bottom, cycle bottom over here. We've been trying to struggle to get back about the 0.5, and I think we will get back to 0.5. The other indicators are not going to show you as much, like on the Ichimoku is underneath for that. So Ichi is actually one that is showing some support level over here when it's close to the bottom of the cloud, right? And you can see that Subichi has really been kind of serving as like the range here, top of the range, bottom of the range. Bottom of the range seems to be either top of the cloud over here, and now that bottom range is now at the bottom of the cloud over here, right? The cloud is green. So once we're able to find some pretty solid footing down here, probably go back up here to challenge some of the higher levels. I do have a lot more to say about Mara here in a little bit. But I do think that Mara has found some pretty important support. And this important support, actually, I'm going to go ahead and show you right now. The important support is really coming from the 2-month Ichimoku cloud here. And you can see that there is a green line over here. And I'm going to turn off some indicators to kind of give you a little bit of an idea in terms of what I'm looking at. You can see this light green line over here. I can even accentuate this a little bit more by making the color, actually no, I'm gonna make this like really thick here. And by doing that, you can totally see that this green line over here, which is what we call leading span A, this is the bottom of the premature Ichimoku cloud. The Ichimoku cloud is finally being formed right now, right? And I can totally see that this has been serving as resistance during the top of the last cycle, and with the entire bear market and so far the beginning of the bull market. What we've done so far is really just flip this level from resistance over here back to support. And so far it's been holding support for multiple months now. And looks like it wants to hold. And if it does, it might gravitate up to the top of the Ichimoku cloud here around the 80 area, and it could even potentially break through, get up to like the 3 digits and back test. We'll see what happens. I don't know, but I think we're actually got some pretty interesting levels over here. So a lot of the miners, I really do think that they're finding support, and I think that they're going to do relatively well moving forward. I'm going to go back to the weekly chart here. I'm going to go through other miners here. Bitfarms kind of broke underneath the angle over here, unfortunately. So I would not be surprised if back test the 0.136 here, or if you want to do a fit level here. It's underneath the 0.5, just like what Mara is doing. This is like a mirror image of Mara, to be honest with you. But it did bring underneath the gain angle here. So I don't know whether or not it's going to close underneath. It could end up just all being like a wick and then end up closing a week above, and that'd be good. Or if it ends up just staying broken, then it could gravitate down here towards the $1.68. This is a 0.136 level over here, which we've backtested here once, twice, 3 times. Maybe it just comes back and want to tap in another time before going higher. But I really do want to see this angle here closing. Even if it breaks underneath the angle, doesn't bother me. Broke underneath the angle over here, bounced. Broke underneath the angle over here, bounced. That doesn't really bother me like a bit. But I just like to see things kind of close above support level if at all possible. Cypher finding support right at the 0.618. Finding support right at the bottom of the weekly Ichimoku cloud. This is one that I do think that most likely the bottom has been formed. Iron is a little bit tricky in terms of where Iron could be. It's kind of like hanging in space over here. I don't really know what to make of it. I really like to see it close back about 0.618 here by the end of the week. You look at Ichimoku, there might be some room further down to go to like $6. If you look at the Subiichi, maybe a little bit further down, room down to go to, right? Yeah, the Buran support band, you've lost that. Is being served as resistance right now. So it's kind of just hanging in space. I really don't know what to expect for Iron, just to be completely honest. I think I would like to see it reclaim the 0.618, which is a very, very important level. If it's able to reclaim that, I think we'd probably end up pushing through the arc here, maybe over the next week or two, and grab it up towards back to the double digits, right? But if we end up breaking down here, then I really don't know like where price is going to end up going underneath. Maybe a lot further. I really don't know. The moving averages are just like so far away. I guess it could potentially hit the 50 here again, which is around $7, and that could be a very interesting level for it to hold. But it just looks like it's just kind of in space right now, so I don't really know. In terms of Wolf, it's hitting the angle over here, and it could even go down a little bit. I don't really care, but it's hitting an angle over here. It looks like it wants to find support right around the angle. BTBT is kind of hanging out in space, but it's also really just kind of back testing Ichimoku cloud here. So far we're a little bit underneath of that, but we probably end up closing a week maybe above of it. I don't know. I'm going to talk about cores here. I'm a little bit worried about cores. First of all, I can't say that cores has not broken out, because it has broken out this horizontal line over here. It has broken out of this arc over here, right? So both of these are bullish development. So what is so like worrisome about cores? It's just the fact that it's just been going up like this on an exhaustive move on bearish divergence. So I think that you're probably going to end up correcting through time here. You're probably going to end up hitting the 10, like their $11 range. I would not be surprised if core underperforms and hit the like $9 or $8 range as well to kind of back test before going, just because we got like a bearish divergence here. I'm not really seeing this bearish divergence really on any of the chart. I mean, the other chart just look like short-term bearish, right? But like cores is really the one that I see like a bearish divergence that's still present, and that could end up correcting price down by a few dollars. I don't know exactly, but I'm a little bit worried about cores. Riot is looking like it had bottomed, basically tested the horizontal line over here after this breakthrough of this horizontal zone over here. It's just basically finally going back and back test the line, found support, now it's bouncing. Probably going to end up hitting the arc over here, and then we'll see what happens with Riot. But I also think that Riot has found a very important bottom. HUT has basically just back tested the arc over here. So far it looks like it's holding. I can keep talking, but a lot of these miners are looks like they've found the bottom, and they're basically at some pretty important zone, or they're testing some pretty important zones over here. So I am not bearish on them. I just, again, I want to let you know I'm looking at all this I'm basically looking at trees in a forest, right? I don't want to miss the forest. What is the forest? for a lot of these stocks. The force for a lot of these stocks for CleanSpark, if you look at the monthly, it's been higher highs and higher lows, and this is still a higher low compared to that. And the for Mara, same thing, right? And I'll also show you the 2-month chart. It was flipping the Ichimoku from resistance to support, right? So that's really like the higher time frame stuff that I'm looking at. I think probably going to end up gravitating back towards the monthly cloud over here too. For Bitfarms, it basically looks just like Mara. I don't want to miss the greater picture. Like all of this look like they want to break out eventually, but even for iron, I cannot be bearish on iron. Look at a cup here, breakthrough, form a cup, form a handle over here. Looks like it wants to go higher. CleanSpark, same formation, right? Looks like a handle. Mara, same formation, looks like a handle. Bitfarm, same formation, looks like a handle. Cypher, it just looks like a big giant cup with a big giant handle over here. Like I cannot be bearish on these charts here, just looking at the formation of how they're forming. I think they're all going to go higher. Even Riot probably going to go higher. So I just like just zoom out, look at the forest instead of looking at the trees. One thought is I do want to answer the very frustrated question as to why these miners hasn't broken out. Why are they underperforming? And I made a video back in March basically saying this. You're not going to have outperformance of miners. Miners are probably not going to do too much for you until 2 things happen. Thing number 1, until Bitcoin breaks out into all-time highs. And thing number 2, until the Russell 2000, the IWM breaks into all-time highs. Until both of those things happen, not much is probably going to happen with the miners. Do I think both of those things will happen soon? Yes, I think that both of those things probably going to end up happening in Q4 2024. I just don't know when exactly that's going to be the case. You can keep waiting, you can keep hating. I don't really care. The truth is that this is the bottom chart over here is the Russell 2000. IWM is the small cap index. You can see that over here, the breakout didn't happen until November of 2020. And when that happened, that's when really Mara is really truly breaking out, right? Have we had that candle yet where it just breaks through and form an all-time high? No, we have not. We have a very impulsive candle over here back in July of 2024, but we have not yet hit the previous all-time high here, which is around 240s, right? That has not happened yet. So we're still waiting for IWM to really try and push through. Again, is IWM bearish? No, it looks like a big giant cup over here with a handle, right? So basically, I think Mara is waiting for that. Now, it's interesting to look at because right now, you basically have IWM gone up and kind of gone sideways over here during this part of the last cycle. What has Mara done during this part of the last cycle? It went up and then went down, right? So far, what is happening right now, you have IWM kind of go up and go sideways. And you have Mara kind of gone up and then just kind of gone down, right? Very, very similar formation, just the time frame, like this cycle just look a lot slower compared to the last cycle. It's just look a lot slower compared to the last cycle. But that's what it's really looking, if you're interested in looking like fractals, right? The other thing too, let's compare Mara to Bitcoin. If you compare Mara to Bitcoin, you can see that Bitcoin has really had this really nice green candle over here in October of 2020. And with this green candle over here that's bullish engulfing for the past couple of candles over here, what did Mara do? It did nothing. It did absolutely nothing. It was really waiting for that November candle from IWM. It was really waiting for the November candle here at IWM before Mara really truly pushed up. So I think that Mara actually is maybe a little bit more of a leverage play for IWM rather than Bitcoin. But I mean, obviously both has to do well, but I do think that Mara is maybe a little bit more sensitive to how IWM has been doing. And how is IWM doing? It's just been kind of going sideways for months. So that's why Mara just kind of faltered and kind of gone down here a little bit. I do think that, whenever Bitcoin, if October turns out to be a bullish month, right now we still have another 3 weeks to go. If Bitcoin turns out to be bullish in October, which I think is entirely possible, if it ends up pushing up like it did over here to get ready for a bull run and to get ready for the next candle over here in November. Where's the next candle over here in November? It breaks the previous all-time high over here, right? So that also is the reason as to why Mara really ran up, because IWM broke its all-time high, Bitcoin broke its all-time high, Mara goes higher. Neither of those conditions have been met yet. We're just kind of stuck here so far in October. Could this October be like last October where Bitcoin makes a nice move and Mara just does nothing and IWM just does nothing? Entirely possible. But I'm gonna kind of sit back and just relax and just let myself know that, hey, this has happened before, so there's no reason why it couldn't happen again. It doesn't have to happen the exact same. It doesn't have to make a monster move like it did last time. It could just be a little bit more muted move, right? Who knows? Or it could make even a bigger move than last time. I don't know. But I have a hard time believing that the whales have accumulated for about a year and then probably doing reaccumulation here for Mara for about another year, just to price going to like 40 and 50 and not make an all-time high and beyond. I have a little bit of a hard time believing in that, but I could be wrong. That's what I'm seeing, and I just want to let you know that I'm more looking at the big picture. I'm playing cycles here. I don't play any option plays, and I don't want you guys to keep leveraging Bitcoin because you are literally the reason as to why we are still chopping, because you're providing liquidity for the market makers. Stop it. Unless if you know what you're doing, of course, which most of y'all don't. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this 26-minute video. Have a good one. Bye.